All right, the first Friday of every month, you guys get a copy of the jobs report. So let's go ahead. Today's Friday, August 1st. So let's go ahead and see what came in with the jobs report today. All right, I was going to show you the boring numbers, but I don't think you guys care about that. But everyone cares about graphs and stuff. So here we go. July jobs report reveals employers added 73,000 jobs. Unemployment rises. So right here, it states that the estimates for this report was at 105,000, but it came in at 73,000 jobs, which is way below estimates and not good at all. However, there's even more to this horizon that is bad. If you scroll down, these are the revised reports. I don't know if you guys know, but every jobs report gets a revision. It gets put out for the first estimate, and then it gets 2 revisions. So June's only had 1 revision, but take a look at this, guys. So for May, originally reported 144,000 jobs. Final, 19,000 jobs. Originally reported 147,000 jobs. Final, 14,000 jobs. Estimate today, 102,000. Estimate reported, 73,000. But look at this climb from right here to right here. 143 down to 73,000. So what do you think it's going to end up once it's revised? Who knows? And listen, the administration knows this, and this is why they're clamoring for the Fed to lower the Fed funds rate. Because if you lower the Fed funds rate, it makes money cheaper. And if you make money cheaper, people are willing to take on that risk, because right now the risk is too high with a higher interest rate. But with the risk being lower, people will take on that risk. At least that's what history shows. With lower interest rates when you're lending, people will tend to borrow more. They'll take that money, invest in their businesses. When you're investing in your business, you're growing your business. When you're growing your business, you're hiring more employees, you're buying more stuff. That spurs the economy. And that's what helps create jobs. And that's what Trump is trying to say. Fed funds rate, hey guy, Chairman Powell, lower the Fed funds rate. But up till now, all these numbers and all the economy has been coming out great. The GDP, I mean, all the numbers, even the jobs report numbers, if you go back to it, at 144,000, 147,000 initially reported, those are very good numbers. So Powell has the right to say, wait a minute, let's slow down and see what happens. However, now we're not going to have a Fed funds meeting for another 2 months. So essentially, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do anything from now till the next meeting. And what we're seeing is the last 3 months, not enough jobs. And that's why Trump's calling him too late Powell, or always late Powell, or whatever he calls him. So initially, secretly, I was happy that he was maintaining the Fed funds rate where it was at, mainly because even though it hurts my business personally, it's not about me, it's about the economy, right? So if the economy is booming in all sectors, if we're bringing in billions because of this tariffs and it's not hurting inflation and it's not hurting GDP and everything's still humming along, and the jobs report initially shows that we're growing, even though we're not hiring in the government sector. If you guys remember, the last 4 years, there's only 2 sectors that's gained jobs, and that's healthcare and government. Which means government is inflationary because all it is spending money, not making money. At least healthcare provides for itself. So that means half the growth of the jobs that were made in the last 4 years was pure inflationary spending. And now with these new job reports showing so strong initially without the government spending, that was remarkable. It was phenomenal. But now we're seeing with the revisions that's not correct. It's not true. Problem is we're seeing these numbers now, and I don't know if the Fed or the government actually sees more in-depth numbers on their side and they keep it to themselves. That wouldn't make sense, but I know there's a lot of people who suggest stuff like that. So as of now, I mean, when you compare us to the EU or Europe, those guys have lowered their Fed funds rates. Except, Russia, they've had to hire it because they have runaway inflation. But for the most part, we're the last developed country to lower the Fed funds rate, and we again stayed steady. We hold, and now we got 2 months to make any changes. I mean, there's nothing saying that he can't do an emergency Fed rate cut, but I doubt that's going to happen. Can't remember it ever happening, but that doesn't mean much. So if you stay to the end and you're still listening, my opinion is Once the Fed lowers the Fed funds rate, even though that doesn't technically affect mortgage rates, it does correlate very strongly. And once mortgage rates do lower, and they are lower today because of the bad news. So they've essentially, even the conventional loan rate went down by 0.25% from 6.75 down to 6.5. That's drastic. That's dramatic change in just one day. So my suggestion is they say date the rate, marry the house, meaning go right now and get a house now if you can. Because once everyone jumps on, when the lower interest rates get lower, all of a sudden you're competing with other buyers. Right now you're not competing hardly at all. Houses are on the market for about 100 days now or more. So don't worry. I mean, go in there and ask for everything. But once you're competing with somebody else, you can't ask for everything. Listen, you go buy a house now if you can afford it. Get what you want. Get closing costs. Get seller concessions. Get your interest rate paid down. And then when the rates do drop, and who knows, next month, the month after, 6 months, refinance and then get a lower rate. In that scenario, it's a win-win-win.